Captain Da-hyun Kim stood on the bridge of the EDF Prometheus. His eyes were fixed on the main screen. It showed hundreds of enemy ships surrounding Earth. The alien vessels looked like giant black beetles against the blue of his home planet. "Status report," he said, his voice calm despite the fear in his chest. "Shields at 30%, replied his second-in-command, Hansol. "Main guns still working, but we have used more than half our missiles." Da-hyun nodded. The situation was bad. Very bad. The Caliphate Imperium had arrived 3 days ago without warning. Their ships were bigger and stronger than anything humans had built. They had destroyed the moon base in hours. Now Earth's last ships fought a losing battle. "Captain, message from Earth Command," said the communications officer, Sora. Her face was pale as she turned to him. "It's marked urgent." The message appeared on his private screen. Da-hyun read it twice to make sure he understood. "Hold the line. Project Silverback is our last hope. Need 30 more minutes." Da-hyun looked at the battle map again. 30 minutes might as well be 30 years. The Prometheus was the last major ship still fighting. The other defense vessels were either destroyed or too damaged to help. "Captain, what are our orders?" Hansol asked. The crew waited for his answer, their faces showing both fear and trust. Da-hyun made his decision. "Sora, send a message to all remaining ships. Tell them to gather near the Prometheus. We're going to hit the enemy main ship." "Sir, that's suicide," Hansol said quietly. "Yes," Da-hyun agreed, "but we need to buy time for Project Silverback. Whatever it is, it's our last hope." The crew understood. No one complained. They had all seen what happened to the first cities the aliens had attacked. The Caliphate did not take prisoners. They harvested planets, using everything from the metals in the ground to the people on the surface. "All stations, prepare for attack run," Da-hyun ordered. "Engine room, give us everything you have." The Prometheus turned toward the center of the alien fleet. 5 smaller Earth ships followed behind. On the main enemy ship, strange lights began to glow as its weapons prepared to fire. Deep under the ruins of what had once been the city of Busan, Dr. Yoon-ji Park watched the battle on her screens. Her hands moved quickly over the controls as she finished the final checks on Project Silverback. "The Prometheus is buying us time," she told her team. "We cannot waste their sacrifice." Around her, 300 soldiers waited in special chambers. Each person was connected to a massive suit of armor. The suits looked like giant metal gorillas, with thick arms and powerful legs. Inside each chamber, the final bonding process had begun. Human and machine were becoming one. "Neural integration at 80%, reported Dr. Park's assistant. "Vital signs are stable." Yoon-ji nodded. "Begin power-up sequence for the diaspora." Hidden in another underground bay, a massive ship waited. The diaspora was humanity's ark, built in secret over 10 years. It carried seeds, DNA samples, and enough supplies to start a new colony. Its special engines could take it beyond known space, away from the Caliphate. On the Prometheus, Da-hyun felt the ship shake as enemy weapons hit it. "Shields failing," Hansol reported. "Engine damage on decks 5 through 8. "Stay on course," Da-hyun ordered. "All power to forward guns." The Prometheus fired its main cannon. The beam cut through space and hit the enemy flagship. For a moment, Da-hyun allowed himself to hope. Then the aliens fired back. "Captain, we've lost engines," Hansol said, "life support failing." Da-hyun looked at his crew. "It has been an honor." As the Prometheus began to break apart, Da-hyun's final screen showed a message from Busan. "Project Silverback launched." "Thank you, Captain." Da-hyun smiled as the bridge exploded around him. Perhaps humanity still had a chance. Dr. Yoon-ji Park felt the underground lab shake as another bomb hit the surface. Dust fell from the ceiling. Warning lights flashed red across her control panel. "Integration status," she demanded, her fingers moving quickly over the screen. 287 successful bonds, her assistant Jamin replied. 13 still in progress. Yunji nodded. Project Silverback was almost ready. 10 years of work, of failure, of starting over. And now they had minutes, maybe seconds, before the Caliphate discovered their hidden facility. She walked to the observation window. In the main chamber, hundreds of metal pods stood in rows. Inside each pod was a soldier connected to a massive suit of armor. The suits were silver gray with broad chests and powerful limbs. Each stood nearly 3 meters tall. The design was based on Earth's mountain gorillas. The Silverbacks. Strong, protective, fierce. But these were more than just battle suits. The neural link merged human and machine. The suits enhanced human strength 50 times over. They could run faster than cars, jump higher than buildings, and withstand weapons that would destroy tanks. Final integration complete, Jamin announced. All 300 Silverbacks ready. Yunji pressed the communication button. Attention all Silverback soldiers. This is Dr. Park. The bonding process is complete. You are now the first and last of your kind. The suits are part of you, and you are part of them. On the screens around her, pod doors began to open. The suits stood up, moving like living things rather than machines. Yunji felt a mix of pride and sadness. These were the finest soldiers Earth had. Now they were something more, something that might survive what was coming. Dr. Park, called a deep voice. A Silverback unit approached her window. Even though the face was hidden behind a helmet, she recognized him from the voice. Commander Lee, she said. How do you feel? Strong, Taiwan Lee replied. Different. Like I could tear apart an entire Caliphate ship with my bare hands. You might get that chance soon, Yunji said. The Prometheus is gone. The aliens will find us soon. Then we need to move now, Lee said. Is the diaspora ready? Yunji nodded. Loaded with supplies, seeds, and genetic samples. Everything we could save. Another explosion rocked the facility, closer this time. Alarm sirens began to wail. They found us, Jamin said, his voice tight with fear. Yunji made her decision. Commander Lee, get your people to the diaspora. Launch as soon as everyone is aboard. What about you and the science team? Lee asked. We'll follow in the emergency shuttle, she lied. There was no room for everyone. The scientists had always known they would stay behind. Lee seemed to understand. Even with his face hidden, Yunji could feel his sadness. Your sacrifice won't be wasted, he promised. Go, she ordered. Humanity must survive. That's all that matters now. The Silverback units moved with amazing speed through the facility tunnels. Behind them, Yunji and her team worked frantically to delete their research data. The Caliphate would not get the secrets of the Silverback technology. They're coming through the north entrance, Jamin warned. Yunji nodded. Activate the self-destruct sequence. In the massive underground dock, the diaspora hummed with power. 300 Silverback units boarded the ship. Commander Lee was the last to enter. He looked back at the facility that had created them. Ready for launch, reported the pilot, another Silverback named Minho. Do it, Lee ordered. Get us out of here. The diaspora's engines fired. The ship rose through the opening bay doors, climbing toward the sky. Below them, the Busan facility exploded in blinding light. The blast destroyed everything. The labs, the data, and the brave scientists who had created the Silverback Legion. As the diaspora reached space, Lee looked at the burning Earth below. We will return, he promised, and we will make them pay. Commander Taiwan Lee stood at the viewing window of the diaspora's bridge. Earth grew smaller behind them. The blue planet was scared with fire where the Caliphate ships attacked. The sight filled him with cold anger. Commander, enemy ships are turning to follow us, reported Minho from the pilot's chair. They will be in firing range in 3 minutes. Taiwan turned to face the bridge crew. All of them wore their Silverback suits. The neural link let them feel the ship's controls through their armored fingers as if they were touching them directly. "Prepare the fold space drive," Ta-1 ordered. "We only get one chance at this." The fold space drive was experimental. It had never been tested with a ship this large. If it worked, they would jump far beyond the reach of the Calathid. If it failed, they would die instantly. "Sir, where should we go?" asked Jisoo, the navigation officer. "We have star maps for the entire known space." "Beyond known space," Ta-1 said firmly. "Somewhere the Calathid have never been." Jisoo nodded and set the coordinates for the edge of the galaxy. "Enemy ships accelerating," Minho warned. "Now 2 minutes until they can fire." Ta-1 walked to the center of the bridge. "All Silverbacks, secure positions for fold space jump. This will be rough." Throughout the ship, 300 enhanced soldiers prepared. Some sat in jump seats. Others locked their armored legs to the floor. Their suits would protect them from the extreme forces of the jump. "Fold space drive at full power," reported Subin, the ship's engineer. "Ready on your command." "Enemy ships launching missiles," Minho said, his voice still calm. "Impact in 60 seconds." Ta-1 looked one last time at Earth. His home. The place where humans had lived for thousands of years. Now it would be gone, harvested by the Calathid, until nothing remained. "We will remember," he promised quietly. Then louder, "Activate fold space drive." The ship hummed as energy built up around it. A bubble of distorted space appeared at the front of the diaspora. It grew larger, surrounding the entire ship. "Missiles closing," Minho reported. 30 seconds to impact. "Fold space stability at 90%. Subin said. "This is better than our tests predicted." "Hold steady," Ta-1 ordered. Almost there. The energy bubble pulsed with strange light. The stars outside seemed to stretch into lines. "Missiles 20 seconds away," Minho said. His armored hands gripped the controls tightly. "Fold space ready for jump," Subin announced. "Now or never, Commander." Ta-1 took a deep breath. Jump. The world outside the ship disappeared. For a moment, they existed in a place that was not space or time. Every Silverback felt the strange pressure of fold space against their suits. Normal humans would have died instantly. Then, with a flash of light, the diaspora reappeared. The stars around them were in different positions. Earth was gone. The Calathid ships were gone. "Jump successful," Subin reported, sounding surprised. "All systems functioning." "Where are we?" Ta-1 asked. Jisoo checked the navigation systems. "Edge of the galaxy, as planned. We're beyond any known star charts. The Calathid won't find us here." Ta-1 nodded slowly. They had escaped. But at what cost? Earth was lost. Billions of lives ended. Human civilization destroyed, except for the 300 of them on this ship. "Send all Silverbacks to the main hold," he ordered. "It's time they knew our full mission." Minutes later, Ta-1 stood before the gathered Silverback Legion. 300 silver-armored figures, the last of humanity. "Today, Earth fell," he said simply. "But humanity survives in us. We carry the seeds of our species, the knowledge of our civilization, and the means to fight back." The Silverbacks stood silent, processing this truth. "Our mission is clear," Ta-1 continued. "We will find a new home. We will build our strength, and one day we will return to make the Calathid pay for what they've done." 300 armored fists raised in agreement. The Silverback Legion had begun its journey. 7 years passed since Earth fell. The diaspora had traveled far through unknown space. Food supplies grew low. Fuel reserves dwindled. The Silverbacks needed to find a home soon. "Commander, sensors have found something," reported Jisoo on the bridge. "A planet with breathable air and plenty of minerals." Ta-1 Lee, still commander of the Silverback Legion, moved to the main screen. The planet glowed blue-green against the black of space. It looked a little like Earth, but with more islands and smaller continents. Life signs? He asked. Plant life, yes. Some small animals. No intelligent species, Jesu answered. And Commander, the mineral scans show rich deposits of everything we need. Taiwan studied the readings. After 7 years of searching, they might have found their new home. Send a scout team, he ordered. I want boots on the ground within the hour. Soon after, 5 silverbacks stood on the surface of the new world. The team leader, He Jun, bent down to touch the soil with his armored hand. Ground is good for building, he reported back to the ship. Air is clean. No dangerous animals seen yet. He looked at the tall mountains to the north of their landing site. And those mountains have the metals we need. 2 days later, the diaspora landed in a flat valley. All 300 silverbacks worked to build a base. Their enhanced strength let them move huge rocks and trees. With their suits, they could work day and night without rest. We will call this planet Minus, Taiwan announced when they gathered after the first week. After an ancient Earth legend about a maze where a monster was trapped. The Calathid will never find us in this maze of stars. But one day, we will emerge and become their nightmare. The silverbacks cheered. For the first time in 7 years, they had hope. Months passed. The base grew into a small city. He Jun, who had been an engineer before joining the Legion, led teams to build factories and forges. They melted down parts of the diaspora to make new tools and weapons. Commander, you need to see this, He Jun said one day, bringing a strange metal object to Taiwan. What is it? Taiwan asked, taking the silver-blue disc. I combined metals from this planet with parts from a Calathid weapon we saved from Earth, He Jun explained. It's stronger than anything humans ever made before. With this metal, we can build ships that can stand against the Calathid. Taiwan looked at the disc with new interest. How much can you make? With the mines we dug. Enough for 10 ships within a year. Maybe 50 ships in 5 years. For the first time in a long time, Taiwan smiled. Begin immediately. I want our first ship ready as soon as possible. The forges of Minos burned day and night. He Jun led the building efforts, creating not just ships but better weapons and tools. The silverbacks used the new metal to improve their suits. Each year they grew stronger. 5 years after finding Minos, the Silverback Legion had built a fleet of 30 ships. They had grown in number 2. Using saved DNA and artificial wombs from the diaspora, they had welcomed 100 new humans. These children grew quickly and would one day wear silverback suits of their own. Taiwan stood on a hill overlooking their city. Factories and homes spread across the valley. In the harbor, warships waited. The Legion had transformed from refugees to an army. Commander, called a voice behind him. It was Du Yun, head of their scout teams. We found something you need to see. What is it? Taiwan asked. 3 systems away, Du Yun reported. A Calathid outpost. Taiwan felt the old anger rise inside him. After 7 years of running and 5 years of building, the enemy was within reach. Prepare our fastest ship, he ordered. It's time the Calathid learned that humanity survived. Captain Jaiho Kang stood on the bridge of the Shadow Strike, the fastest ship in the Silverback fleet. 20 of the best Silverback soldiers waited in the launch bay. After 12 years of hiding and building, they were finally going to face the enemy. Approaching Calathid outpost, reported the pilot. No signs they have detected us. Jaiho nodded. The Shadow Strike used stealth technology based on captured Calathid systems. The aliens would not see them coming. Show me the target, he ordered. The main screen displayed the Calathid outpost. It was built on a small moon and had only 1 ship docked there. The station was shaped like a large spider with metal legs connecting to the moon's surface. Scan for life signs, Jaiho said. About 50 Calathid on the station, the sensor officer replied. 12 on the docked ship. Jaiho turned to address his strike team. 20 silverbacks in their silver-gray armor stood ready. Their suits had been upgraded many times over the years. They were stronger, faster, and deadlier than ever. "Remember the plan," Jaiho told them. "Team 1 with me will take the control center. Team 2 secures the ship. Team 3 gets all data from their computers. We want prisoners if possible, but the mission comes first." The Silverbacks nodded. They all knew what was at stake. This raid would tell them much about the current state of the Calathid Empire. It would also show if their new weapons and tactics worked against the aliens. "Prepare for silent drop," Jaiho ordered. "Engage in 3 minutes." The Shadow Strike moved into position above the Calathid outpost. The ship was completely dark, using only minimal power to avoid detection. When they were in perfect position, the bottom hatch opened. 20 Silverbacks dropped silently toward the station. Their suits protected them from the vacuum of space. Small thrusters on their backs guided their fall. They landed on the outer hull of the station without making a sound. In position, Jaiho reported through the neural link that connected all Silverbacks. "Begin entry." The Silverbacks cut through the station's hull with laser tools. The special metal of their suits protected them from the heat. In minutes, they were inside the station. The first Calathid they encountered was a guard. The alien was tall and thin with 4 arms and beetle-like skin. Before it could sound an alarm, a Silverback named Yijun grabbed it and knocked it unconscious. "First prisoner secured," Yijun reported. Jaiho led Team 1 through the corridors of the station. They moved quickly and silently. 2 more guards fell before they reached the control center. The door was locked, but that meant nothing to Silverback's strength. Jaiho simply tore it open. Inside, 5 Calathid turned in shock. They had never seen anything like the Silverbacks before. One reached for an alarm button, but Jaiho was faster. He moved across the room in a blur and lifted the alien by its throat. "Signal your ship to stand down," he ordered in the Calathid language. They had learned it from old files saved from Earth. The alien made clicking sounds of fear, but obeyed. The other Calathid raised their hands in surrender. "Control center secure," Jaiho reported. "Team 2, status." "Ship secured," came the reply. "Minimal resistance. We have 4 prisoners and no casualties." Team 3. "Downloading their data now," the tech specialist reported. "They have detailed information on Calathid territories and fleet movements. And something else, Captain. These Calathid are from something called House Roll." Jaiho felt a surge of satisfaction. "Continue the download. We need everything." An hour later, the Silverbacks returned to the Shadow Strike with prisoners and data. The Calathid outpost was left intact but disabled. Let the aliens wonder what had happened here. As they jumped away from the system, Jaiho reviewed the initial findings from the captured data. "The Calathid are not one united empire," he told his team. "They are divided into competing houses, and House Roll was the one that destroyed Earth." The Silverbacks processed this information silently. Now they had a specific target for their revenge. "Set course for Minos," Jaiho ordered. "Commander Lee will want this information immediately." Commander Tawan Lee studied the data from the raid. The information Captain Jaiho had brought back was more valuable than they could have hoped. The Calathid Empire was not one united force but 12 competing houses, and House Roll, the destroyers of Earth, controlled the largest shipyard in the sector. "How soon can we strike the shipyard?" Tawan asked his war council. "Not yet," said Hejun, shaking his head. "We need more ships, more Silverbacks." Sun Mayun, their intelligence officer, nodded in agreement. "The shipyard has hundreds of Calathid warships. We would need at least triple our current force." Tawan considered this advice. The Legion now had 30 battle-ready ships and 3,000 Silverbacks. The original 300 from Earth had been joined by new recruits born and raised on Minos. The younger Silverbacks had never seen Earth, but they had grown up hearing stories of their lost homeworld. "How long to build more ships and train more soldiers?" Tawan asked. 2 years, Hejun answered. "Maybe less if we work around the clock." Tawan nodded. Then we have our timeline. 2 years to prepare. Then we strike at the heart of House Roll. As the meeting ended, Sun Mai approached Taiwan privately. "Commander, there is something else you should see." She showed him a communication she had intercepted from Caliphate networks. The aliens were talking about strange attacks on their outposts. They called the attackers silver demons. "They fear us," Sun Mai said with satisfaction. "House Roll has even placed a bounty on captured silverbacks. They want to understand our technology." Taiwan smiled grimly. "They will never capture one of us alive." Over the next 2 years, Minos became a planet of war production. New factories rose in the valleys. The mines worked day and night to extract metals. Pajum's engineers built bigger and more powerful ships. The largest was named Vengeance of Earth, a massive warship that would serve as the flagship of the Legion's fleet. The Silverbacks themselves improved their combat skills. Training facilities covered the southern continent where new recruits learned to use their enhanced abilities. Veterans from the raid on the outpost taught tactics for fighting Caliphate forces. During this time, Sun Li continued to monitor Caliphate communications. She learned that House Roll was in conflict with 2 other houses. This was good news. The Caliphate would be divided when the Legion attacked. "We should hit them while they are fighting each other," Sun Mai suggested to Taiwan. "They will not expect an attack from outside." Taiwan agreed. The time had come to begin their real mission. On the day before the fleet was to launch, Taiwan addressed all the Silverbacks. 5,000 were now ready for battle, each in silver-gray armor that made them look like metal giants. "Tomorrow, we begin our war against those who destroy our homeworld," he told them. "House Roll will learn that humanity did not die with Earth. We survived. We grew stronger. And now we return to make them pay for what they did." The Silverbacks raised their fists and cheered. The sound echoed across the valley, a thunder of vengeance long delayed but now unleashed. That night, Taiwan stood alone on the hill overlooking the city they had built. Lights from the factories and homes glowed in the darkness. Their ships waited in the harbor, powerful and ready. "We did it, Dr. Park," he said quietly to the memory of the scientist who had created the Silverback Legion. "We survived. And tomorrow, we fight back." At dawn, the fleet of 50 warships lifted off from Minos. The Vengeance of Earth led the way, carrying Taiwan and the original Silverbacks from Earth. Their course was set for the Vrol shipyards. The Silverback Legion was going to war. The Silverback fleet dropped out of fold space near the Vrol shipyards. The massive station hung in space like a giant metal spider, surrounded by Caliphate warships. The shipyard was even larger than their intelligence had suggested. "Count 130 enemy vessels," reported the sensor officer on the Vengeance of Earth. "We are outnumbered almost 3-1. Commander Taiwan Li nodded calmly. "Numbers do not win battles. Courage, skill, and surprise do." The Caliphate had not yet noticed them. The Silverback ships had emerged from fold space behind a large moon, hiding their approach. Major Du Yun, who had planned their attack strategy, stood beside Taiwan on the bridge. "All ships report ready, Commander," Du Yun said. "Waiting for your order." Taiwan looked at the main screen one last time. This moment had taken 14 years to reach. 14 years since Earth fell. Now they would show the Caliphate that humanity had returned. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "All ships, execute Plan Thunderbolt." The fleet moved from behind the moon, engines at full power. They formed 3 attack groups, each targeting a different section of the shipyard. Before the Caliphate could respond, the Silverback ships fired their main weapons. Beams of energy cut through space. The first volley destroyed 12 Caliphate ships still docked at the station. Explosions bloomed in silence against the black of space. "Caliphate fleet responding," reported the tactical officer. "They are moving to intercept." Taiwan nodded. "Phase 2. Major Du Yun, you have the bridge. Coordinate the fleet action." Du Yun took command as Taiwan and his boarding team headed for the launch bay. 100 Silverbacks waited in assault shuttles. Their mission was to board the station, while the fleet kept the Calathid ships busy. Remember, Taiwan told his team as the shuttles launched, "We need to capture the control center intact. All the data on Calathid fleet movements is there." The assault shuttles raced toward the station, weaving between exploding ships and energy beams. 3 shuttles were hit, but the rest made it to the station's outer hull. The Silverbacks cut their way inside and began fighting through the corridors. The Calathid defenders had never faced anything like the Silverbacks before. The enhanced humans moved with incredible speed and power. Their armor deflected Calathid weapons. Their own weapons tore through the aliens' defenses. Taiwan led the charge toward the control center. Decades of anger drove him forward. With each Calathid that fell before him, he remembered Earth. He remembered the billions who had died. "Control center ahead," reported one of his team. "Heavy defenses." Taiwan saw the barricade the Calathid had set up. At least 20 guards with heavy weapons blocked the way. "Cover me," he ordered. Then he charged. The Calathid opened fire, but Taiwan moved faster than they could aim. He smashed through their barricade like it was made of paper. His armored fists struck with the force of hammers. Within moments, the way was clear. The doors to the control center opened to reveal Shipmaster Verkal, the commander of the station. The Calathid was larger than the others, with a carapace of deep blue. "What are you?" Verkal demanded in his clicking language. "We are humanity's vengeance," Taiwan answered. "The people you thought you destroyed on Earth." The alien seemed confused. "You fight with such hatred. Why?" "We harvest many worlds. It is our right as the superior species." Taiwan stepped closer. "We're not fighting for conquest or resources. We're fighting for justice." The battle for the station lasted 3 hours. By the end, the Silverback fleet had destroyed 60 Calathid ships and captured 40 more. The shipyard was under their control. Major Du Yun had coordinated the space battle with perfect precision. As Taiwan stood in the captured control center, surrounded by Calathid prisoners, he felt not joy but grim satisfaction. This was just the beginning of their war against House Vroll. But today, the Calathid had learned that humanity was not extinct. They had merely been preparing their revenge. News of the Silverback attack spread quickly through Calathid space. House Vroll had lost their largest shipyard and over 100 vessels. The other Calathid houses watched with interest as Vroll struggled to respond to this new threat. In the 3 months following the shipyard battle, the Silverback Legion struck 5 more Vroll systems. Each attack was precise and devastating. The Legion now controlled a small fleet of captured Calathid ships in addition to their own vessels. Commander Taiwan Lee stood in the war room on the Vengeance of Earth, studying the star map. Red markers showed Vroll territory. Blue markers showed systems the Legion had captured. "House Vroll is pulling ships from their border systems," reported Sun Mayun, pointing to movement on the map. "They seem to be forming a defensive line around their home system." "And the other houses?" Taiwan asked. "That is the interesting part," Sun Mai said. "House Calyx and House Zurin have begun moving into abandoned Vroll systems. Instead of helping Vroll against us, they are taking advantage of its weakness." Taiwan nodded slowly. This confirmed what they had learned about Calathid society. The houses competed more than they cooperated. It was a weakness the Legion could use. "What about the prisoners and the data we captured?" he asked. "Dr. Park would like to speak with you about that," Sun Mai replied. An hour later, Taiwan met with Dr. Yunji Park. Not the original Dr. Park who had created the Silverback program on Earth, but a scientist born on Minos who had taken the same name in honor of her predecessor. She was brilliant in her own right, specializing in Calathid biology. "I believe I have found something important," Dr. Park said, showing Taiwan scans of a Calathid brain. "The Calathid have a form of collective consciousness within each house. They share thoughts and feelings through a special organ in their brains." "How does this help us?" Taiwan asked. "If we can disrupt this connection in the right way, we could temporarily paralyze their ability to coordinate attacks," Dr. Park explained. It would not kill them, but it would make them much less effective in battle. Taiwan considered this new information. Develop this technology. It could give us the edge we need for our final assault. As the Legion continued its campaign against House Roll, something unexpected happened. A small human ship approached one of their bases. Inside were 20 humans from a mining colony that had survived the Caliphate attack on Earth. They had been hiding for years, but had heard rumors of the Silver Warriors fighting the aliens. "There are more of us," their leader told Taiwan. "Small colonies and outposts that escaped notice. When the Caliphate attacked Earth, some ships fled to distant systems." Taiwan had not considered this possibility. He had believed the Silverbacks were the last humans alive. "How many?" he asked. "Perhaps 10,000 scattered across 20 systems," the leader answered. "Most are hiding, but when they hear that humans are fighting back, they will join you." This news changed everything. The Silverback Legion was no longer fighting just for vengeance. They were fighting for the future of humanity itself. Over the next 6 months, more human survivors found their way to the Legion. Many brought valuable skills. Some even volunteered to undergo the Silverback process. One day, as Taiwan was inspecting a new group of recruits, Major Du Yun approached him with urgent news. "We have intercepted Caliphate communications," Du Yun reported. "House Vrold is preparing for a last stand. They have recalled all their remaining ships to their home system." Taiwan nodded. The time had come for the final battle. "Tell all ships to prepare," he ordered. "We will attack in 7 days." The Legion had grown to 20,000 Silverbacks and over 200 ships. They had been fighting for 15 years since Earth fell. Now they would end it, one way or another. The Silverback fleet gathered at the edge of the Vrol home system. 200 ships waited for the order to attack. On the bridge of the Vengeance of Earth, Commander Taiwan Li addressed his officers. 15 years ago, the Caliphate destroyed our world," he said. "They thought humanity would die. Instead, we survived. We grew stronger. Today, we end this." The plan was complex but effective. Dr. Park had developed a device that could disrupt the Caliphate collective consciousness. Major Du Yun had created a battle strategy that would divide the Vrol fleet. Captain Jai-Ho would lead the ground assault on the Vrol homeworld. "All ships report ready," said the communications officer. Taiwan nodded. "Begin the attack." The fleet jumped into the heart of the system. The Vrol had prepared strong defenses around their homeworld. 300 warships formed a protective ring. Orbital weapons platforms stood ready to fire. But the Silverbacks had surprise on their side. They emerged from fold space closer to the planet than the Caliphate thought possible. Before the aliens could respond, the Legion ships fired a special weapon. It sent waves of energy across the system, targeting the unique frequency of the Vrol collective mind. The effect was immediate. Caliphate ships drifted out of formation. Some stopped responding entirely. The connection that made them so effective in battle had become their greatest weakness. "First wave, advance," ordered Major Du Yun. Silverback ships charged forward, weapons blazing. They cut through the confused Caliphate fleet like knives through paper. Some Vrol ships recovered and fought back, but they were disorganized and slow. On the Vengeance of Earth, Taiwan watched the battle unfold. "Prepare boarding teams," he ordered. "We need to reach the surface." Hundreds of dropships launched from the Legion fleet. Each carried 20 Silverbacks in full battle armor. They raced toward the Vrol homeworld, dodging debris and enemy fire. Captain Jai-Ho led the first wave to land. The Silverbacks fought their way through the capital city, heading for the Elder's Chamber where the leaders of House Vrol gathered. The aliens fought desperately to defend their home, but they could not stand against the enhanced humans. Commander Taiwan landed with the second wave. He moved through the alien city, seeing the wealth and luxury the Caliphate had built from harvesting worlds like Earth. It only strengthened his resolve. The battle lasted 7 hours. By the end, the Vrol fleet was destroyed or captured. The capital city was under Silverback control. Taiwan, Dr. Park, and the original Silverbacks from Earth stood in the Elders' Chamber, facing the 7 Vrol leaders. "You have defeated us," said the Chief Elder, its voice a series of clicks and hisses translated by Silverback technology. "We offer surrender." "Surrender is not enough," Ta-1 replied. "We want justice for Earth and every other world you destroyed." The terms were harsh but fair. House Vrol would pay reparations in territory and resources. They would acknowledge humanity's right to exist among the stars. And they would help rebuild what they had once destroyed. As news of Vrol's defeat spread, the other Calathid houses sent messages to the Legion. None wanted to suffer Vrol's fate. A reluctant peace was formed, with humanity recognized as a power in the galaxy. 1 month after the final battle, Ta-1 stood on the surface of a beautiful blue-green planet. It reminded him of Earth, though no place would ever truly replace their lost home. The treaty had given this world to humanity as part of the reparations. "We will call it New Earth," he told the gathered Silverbacks and human colonists. As he looked at the faces around him, Ta-1 realized something important. They had started as soldiers seeking vengeance. They had become guardians of humanity's future. "We survived not because of gods or luck," he said. "We survived because ordinary men and women refused to accept extinction. We made our own fate with courage and determination." The Silverback Legion would stand watch over New Earth and all human colonies. In a galaxy of powerful aliens, humanity had earned its place, not through divine intervention, not through peace, but through the will of men and women who became more than human when facing destruction.